So, as many as you know, I've gave 2 speeches on participation in youth sports already. And my third speech, it's the same thing, and many of you know that sports are like all I pretty much talk about. If you follow me on Instagram or Twitter, I just put a lot of that stuff on social media because I care for it a lot. So, I've played sports for 13 years now, and I've learned many things through sports. And one of the biggest things I've learned is how to deal with stress. And I've been in many different stressful situations through youth sports growing up. And that still helps me today, like if I'm in a very high stress situation, whether it's in the classroom or out on the field or court, and I can handle that well. And I've made many friends through growing up through youth sports, and I'm still best friends with some of them today, and a few are in this room. And I've learned how to be better behaved and more responsible through the sports. And I've used the skills I'm going to use the skills that I learned through youth sports up through varsity sports to help me in college, because I'm wanting to pursue a sport in college. So I'm going to use the same skills in the collegiate level. Therefore, participating in youth sports benefits an individual's character in many positive and encouraging ways. Some people feel that youth sports are too stressful on a child, and this leads to making kids quit. And some say that the youth sports are too much pressure on a kid, and this causes the stress and mental breakdowns. One of our class peers, her little brother, I'm not sure, he's somewhere between the 4th and 6th grade, but I guarantee that he's one of the best athletes in his age group. But he gets so worked up, on the way to a game, that he'll just get sick in the car, and he won't be able to perform at his game. And he's lucky because his parents don't make him perform that day when he's too worked up. But that's not the case for all the kids. Some parents force their kids to play sports, or they get worked up, they force them to keep going, and that's not good. Here's a quote from Dr. Jordan Metzel. Kids' sports have become much more competitive, and this is due to the travel teams the kids play on, and you have to try out for these travel teams. And crazy parents have made sports so much more competitive, and because youth sports bring in a lot of money, and these parents invest a lot of their time and money into these sports. They want their kids to be successful at what they do. And sports are very fun, and they need to be a choice for the child. It should never be forced onto them. And youth sports stress the positive effects of life and maturing into a good young adult for society. And I believe that youth sports are very beneficial. They teach you many important life skills, like goal setting and how you achieve those goals, time management, a stronger sense of morality, and the appreciation of diversity. And kids who play sport versus kids who do not play sport. The kids who play sport, they exhibit higher grades, higher expectations, a higher personal confidence, and a higher self-esteem. And they have greater involvement with their school and volunteer because they're around their peers a lot. So they see their peers, their teammates doing something good, they're going to want to match that kind of in a way, if you can relate to that. And this leads to better support from adults, stronger peer relationships, and better behavior outside the classroom and playing field. And sports provide so many opportunities for a child and young adult. There's opportunities for a child to engage in valuable relationships with adults when that isn't always the case at home. And many kids enjoy sports because some kids have a bad home life, and they want to go to their practice and games to kind of get away from that. And I've played with many kids growing up where they'll come to practice and games with just kind of a spark on their eyes. They're actually having fun there, unlike because they can't have that at home. And youth sports teach you right from wrong growing up. That's very important when you're young and maturing. And a quote from Taliaferro, playing a sport can reduce the suicide risk in youth. And athletes usually run a lower risk of suicide And exercise improves mood and it lowers depression risk. Therefore, the more sports a child plays when they're young, the better. It is important to have a variety of sports growing up. And sports help prevent social isolation because when you're in a sport, you're surrounded by so many supportive people, and it's really hard to isolate yourself from them when you're on a team. And in conclusion, imagine 10 years from now, roughly, all of us will maybe have kids, some of us won't, but your child comes to you and he or she is stressing out, playing a sport, and he's stressed. And you use the skills that you learned through sports, if you play them, try to talk them into continue playing, but you don't force them. If they want to quit, just let them, because you don't want to force anything on them, but you know your skills that you learned, so you teach them kind of the skills you learned, and you help them, lead them along, and then they continue playing the sport, and then later on in their life, they're like sitting in a big job interview for a job, a highly stressed situation, but they use the skills they learned from the youth sports to ace that job interview and get the job.
You said kids should participate in many sports. What number is too much?
Well, when you're like a younger child, you don't know what your body type's gonna be once you hit when you mature and hit puberty, and when you're older in a high school sport. So, too much, that's kind of a hard thing to answer, but it is important to because you might have a kid who's a little tiny point guard on a travel basketball team, and he might grow up to be if you look at his dad might be 6'5", 300 pounds. So if he hits puberty and he turns in his dad, he'll be like a lineman on the football team. So it's important to have variety when you're young, play different sports so you kind of get the feel for everything.
Do you think sports should take more consideration into kids' schooling and schoolwork? Limit practice hours after a week?
Yeah, that's an important skill that you learn through sports, though, how to deal with time management and how to get certain things done when you need to get them done. But yeah, they do take that into consideration some, but it can get a little excessive at times too.
Do you think that coaches have a big effect on the stress level that the athletes are under, or do you think it's other things?
Well, are you talking about youth sports, older, varsity sports, or both kind of? Youth?
Well, both.
Yeah, I do. I've dealt with a lot of I don't know how nice way to say it, but pretty mean coaches, I guess, and they put a lot of stress on you to perform well. So, and that's not a good thing ever. Because as a coach, I feel you need to be very supportive of your kids and encourage them, not put them down all the time. So.
My question stems back to the example you were talking about the young student who was stressed and couldn't perform. Yeah. Isn't that proof that sports may be too stressful for kids?
Yeah, it's kind of different for everyone. I personally have never experienced that that little child has, but I don't know, that probably kind of gets into more of something wrong mentally and just how they react to certain things. But if I was that child's parents, I would just really encourage him, I don't know, find something to calm him down, I guess, kind of. But that's hard, because that's a good point. I don't know what makes him feel like that necessarily.